Hello and welcome to this edition of RentReady with Stephensons, where we discuss the general application, operating procedures, and safe handling of our tools and equipment. Today, we're going to be spotlighting our line of dehumidifiers. First, let's discuss what dehumidification is. It's the process of removing moisture from the air and in turn drawing moisture out of the materials in the surrounding area. It's going to pull moisture out of things like drywall, wood, carpet, etc. Now there's two types of dehumidification. The first type, which we'll be discussing today, is refrigerant dehumidification, where we have a refrigerated coil and we draw the warm moist air over the coil to condensate it, which then falls into a recovery tank and is pumped into a drain or a bucket. The second type is a desiccant dehumidifier, which has a desiccant wheel that's impregnated with an absorbing material, which we then blow warm, hot, dry air over in order to evaporate that water and then discharge it outside. So why is it important to remove the moisture from the air? Well, it can cause dust mites, mold, which in turn can cause an asthma attack or an allergy attack. That's why it's very common to have whole home dehumidification systems. Here at Stephensons, we have three different sizes of refrigerant dehumidifiers. We've got a small, a medium, and we do have a large available as well. Our large dehumidifier is actually a low-grain refrigerant dehumidifier, which means it will continue to remove moisture out of the air below 20% humidity. So commonly these will function at 80 degrees. That's the optimal temperature. So at 60% humidity at 80 degrees, the small one will remove 65 pints a day, the medium will remove 140 pints a day, and the large will remove 170 pints a day. They will remove more if we do have higher saturation of humidity in the air. So next, let's take a look at some of the features of the actual dehumidifier itself. All three size dehumidifiers are going to have similar features. So let's start with our discharge hose. We're going to connect this to the recovery tank, and we've got an automatic pump that's going to discharge that into a drain or into a bucket. You can actually set that discharge hose up to pump upwards up to 20 feet from the base of the dehumidifier. Next, we've got our air port on the back. That's where we're going to get the warmer air that's come through the refrigerated coil, and we can either leave that and discharge it back into the room, or we can vent it out to another location. Every unit is going to have a filter in the front, which is removable, and on this particular unit we can take it out and wash that filter. Some of the features on the medium is you can actually connect a discharge hose on the side of the machine and put it directly into a drain, and it will automatically just have the tank drain into that drain. Our control panels are located on the tops of the machine and have a couple different options for purging the line, for setting our humidification levels, and even a timer. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pre-use inspection on our smaller unit here. So before we start, the first thing we want to do is make sure that our air filter on the front of the unit is clean. This is where we're going to be drawing in our warm moist air. We can take a look at it, hold it up to the light, make sure it's clean. If it's not, you can wash it out and put it back into place. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our power cord. Again, like any electric tool, and because we're dealing with water, we're going to want to make sure that there's no cuts or abrasions in the cord and that our ground plug is intact on the plug. Next, we're going to unwind our water line, and you have to completely unwind this from the unit. You want to make sure that there's no kinks in the line. And that it's clear of any obstructions. That's why they make them clear. Next, we can just attach that to the back of the machine. Now this machine is ready to go. So we can go ahead and plug this unit into the wall. So how do I know how much dehumidification I'm going to need in my specific space? Well, we can do a simple calculation. We can take the cubic feet that we have in the room, divide it by a factor that's predetermined, and that'll give us the number of pints a day that we need. So for example, if I have a 20 by 20 room with 8-foot ceilings, and I know that I have a high humidity level, which is a factor of 50, I take my 3,200 cubic feet divided by 50, which gives me 64 pints. And I know that at 80 degrees and 60% humidity, my small dehumidifier will do 64 pints a day. You can also call any one of our locations and speak to a sales associate who can help you figure the calculation out. So I've now got my small dehumidifier plugged into a 15 amp grounded outlet, and I've got my discharge hose run into another room to a drain. I'm now ready to go ahead and turn the power on, and the fan will come on and the dehumidifier will start. I now have the option to set the dehumidification level using the up and down arrows, and I can also hit the timer button and set how long I want the dehumidifier to run. This unit will automatically purge when the recovery tank fills and force that water into the drain. Once in a while, you will see the defrost light turn on. What that is when the condenser starts to get too cold, if you're dehumidifying in a room that might be 65 or 70 degrees, it'll go into a defrost cycle to get rid of the ice that's building up on the coil. So now that we're done, I'm going to turn the power button off. The unit's going to continue to cycle for about a minute or so. After the unit sits for 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and purge any final remaining water that might be in the recovery tank. To do that, we're just going to hold that purge button down for 3 seconds, and you'll see the purge light come on. Once the unit is finished purging, we can go ahead, unplug the unit, wind up all of our hoses, and we're ready for the next time. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Rent Ready with Stephensons. You're now ready to rent one of our refrigerant-style dehumidifiers. But remember, before you start any job, make sure you stop, think, and then act.